Everybody. Today, Honey is going to continue reading Wayside School Beneath the Cloud of Doom, written by Louis Shacker and illustrated by Tim Hout. Chapter 13 Umbrella. Shuri liked walking in the rain. She liked stomping through puddles in a yellow rain boot. Most of all, she loved her umbrella, even it did get heavy after a while. Her umbrella was purple with green stripes, or maybe it was green with purple stripes. She couldn't be sure. The whole thing was covered with yellow polka dots of various sizes. She liked listening to the raindrops bounce off of it. The harder it rained, the better the sound. She liked the feel of the smooth, carved wooden handle. She was still a block away from the school when she heard the whoop whoop. Now she was going to be late. She had done too much puddle stomping and not enough straight ahead walking. She tried to hurry, but it was difficult to run while carrying her umbrella, especially her yellow boots. By the time she reached the outer edges of the school, the 8-minute warning bell was already clanging. She counted the clangs and disappointed when they stopped at 8. She was hoping for a porcupine. Glancing down, she noticed the sidewalk around the school was dry. She stuck out one hand. The rain seemed to have stopped. She tilted the umbrella a little to the side and looked up. The cloud of doom had kept all the other clouds away, including the rain clouds. Sherry glared at the horrible cloud. It almost seemed alive as it turned and churned inside itself. Suddenly a gust of wind tore the umbrella from her hand. Horrified, she watched it bounce across the blacktop toward the school. She chased after it. The umbrella hit a bike rack and stuck there for a moment, but just as Shuri got there, it swooped upward. She jumped and managed to grab the curved handle. The umbrella continued to rise. She thought about letting go, but she didn't want to lose her umbrella. She held on with both hands. When she passed the second floor window, she realized she probably should have let go sooner. When she rose past the third floor, she wished she had let go at the second floor. When she reached the fourth floor, she wished she had let go when she was back at the third floor. By the time she reached the sixth floor, it was definitely too late. Her left rain boot slipped off when she passed the ninth floor. She watched it fall the long way down, higher and higher, scarier and scarier. She passed the 17th floor and 18th and 20th. There is no 19th floor. She could see inside the classroom windows as she went past them. Some of the kids waved at her. She couldn't even wave back. She couldn't risk falling. Although the alternative wasn't much better, if she continued to hang on, she realized she'd be sucked into the cloud of doom. She passed the 25th floor, then the 26th, and the 27th. She knew the floor numbers by the teachers she saw through the window. At the 30th floor, she could see her own desk next to the window. The window was open. She closed her eyes, then jumped. A horn blared. When the Shuri opened her eyes, she lay scrawled across the top of her desk. "Oh, you're here, Shuri," said Mrs. Jules. "Funny, I didn't see you. I was just about to mark you absent. Where are you sleeping?" Maybe it was a dream. She hoped so. If not, her favorite umbrella was left forever. Her left foot felt cold. On her right foot she wore a yellow rain boot, but on the left just a thin red sock. Chapter 14 Mr. K and Dr. P. Author's note. Due to strict rules about confidentiality and to avoid unnecessary embarrassment for those involved, the names of the characters have been omitted from the story. Please don't try to guess. Mr. K headed up the stairs. He wore a paper bag over his head. It was 10 o'clock in the morning. All the little brats, as he liked to call them, should be in class, but he wore the paper bag just in case he encountered a stray one. When he reached the third floor, he tripped over a top step, then fell onto the landing. "I know I should cut some out eye holes, he said to himself. His knee hurt, but there was the least of his worries. He got back from his feet, then limped up the stairs. Actually, only one eye hole could have been helped. His left eye was shut tight, his other eye was wide open. The eyebrow was raised in a constant expression of surprise. By counting the steps, he knew when he reached the fourth floor. He felt his way to the door, then knocked. Yes, who's there? Asked Dr. P from the other side. Mr. K did not want to say his name aloud in case anyone was listening. He opened the door and entered. If Dr. P was surprised to see a person with bag over his head, he didn't show it. He had been training to keep a straight face no matter what. Whenever someone came to see him, it was part of his job to act like everything was perfectly normal. Yes, what seems to be the problem? He asked, stroking his beard. Mr. K removed the bag. Yikes! Screamed Dr. P, throwing both his hands up in the air. He quickly regained his composure. So why did you come see me? He asked as he rubbed his beard. Dr. K made an noise as he pointed to his face. Your face is stuck, said Dr. P. Dr. K nodded. Please, have a seat. Dr. K sat on the couch. Dr. P came closer to get a better look. He poked a puffed-out cheek. Does this hurt? He asked. Dr. K shook his head. How about this? He tugged on the tip of Dr. K's tongue. Again, Dr. K shook his head. Very interesting, said Dr. P. He walked to the bookshelf. He murmured as he tried to find the book he needed. This should do it, he declared, removing a very fat book. He boinked Dr. K on the top of the head with it. Ah! Exclaimed Dr. K. Any better? I bit my tongue, Dr. K, without moving his lip. This will be more difficult than I thought, said Dr. P. He returned to the bookshelf, chose a different book, and brought it to his desk. He thumbed through the pages. Cold feet, sticky fingers. Ah! Here we are, stuck face. He silently read to himself for a minute or two, then looked up and asked, Did you have a pet when you were a child? Dr. K nodded. Mr. K nodded. Dr. P looked back at his book and read some more. A cat? Dr. K shook his head. A dog? He nodded. Did you love your dog? Mr. K's head didn't move at all. A tear trickled out of his eye and dripped down his face. Excellent, declared Dr. P. I think we're making real progress. He shut the book, scooted his chair up close, then leaned toward Mr. K. Look into my eyes, he said. With his one eye, Mr. K stared at Dr. P. Dr. P stared back. He held up a gold chain with a green stone attached. He let the stone swing gently back and forth between them. Their faces were so close the stone went barely missing their noses. I'm going to take you back to another time and place, said Dr. P. You're just a young boy, playing with your dog in your backyard. Your grandma smiles from the kitchen window. A pie is baking in the oven. You can smell cinnamon. Mr. K's nose twitched. Now your grandmother is outside holding the pie. She asks if you want some. Mr. K's tongue remained sticking out. However, it slowly moved from one side to the mouth to the other. Dr. P noted the breakthrough. But instead of giving you a piece of pie, he said, she smashed it in your face. Mr. K's mouth popped open. When his face snapped back into place, his eyebrows lowered, his one eye opened, his cheek unpuffed, his tongue went back inside where it belonged. Why did she do that to me? He cried. Dr. P handed him her tissue. Mr. K wiped his eyes, then cleaned the imaginary pie off his face. He stood and straightened his suit. You won't tell anybody anything about this, will you? He asked. Everything that happens inside this office is strictly confidential, Dr. P assured him. Mr. K left the office feeling as dignified as ever. Dr. P leaned back in his chair with his hands behind his head. He felt very satisfied. It's not every day when he gets to have someone as important as Mr. K. Dr. P's tongue was sticking out. His left eyebrows was raised. His right eye was shut tight, and it looked like he was trying to swallow a tennis ball. Chapter 15. The Unbreakables. It's bad enough when two friends fight. It's even worse when three friends pick on a fourth. Joe and John were best friends. Shut up, said Joe. You shut up, said John. Randy and Allison were best friends. May I borrow a pencil? Asked Allison. Here, stick it up your nose, said Randy. Maybe it was because they were worried and anxious about the cloud of doom looming above them. Maybe it was because their fingernails and toenails were growing too fast. For whatever reason, the longer everyone spent beneath the cloud, the crabbier they got. Mauricia, Joy, Dee and Ron were more than just best friends forever. Their friendship was so strong they called themselves unbreakables. Every morning they met before school by the flagpole. They had a special four-headed handshake. Each would hold out one hand and they'd lock thumbs to pinkies. Then they'd raise and lower their hands 3 times and shout, Unbreakable! The lunch bell kaboinked 4 times, and the Unbreakables headed down the stairs together. I wonder what we're having today, Dee said. Didn't you count the kaboinks? Asked Maricia. Spaghetti and meatballs, said Joy. Ooh, I like those, said Dee. You would, said Ron. They smell as bad as your foot. He held his nose. My feet don't stink, said Dee. Joy held a nose too and said, Not to you, but everyone else. Mauricia and Ron laughed. They entered the cafeteria. Dee took a tray and pushed it to Miss Mush. The lunch teacher handed up a plate of spaghetti and topped with a foot-sized meat patty. Dee set the plate on a tray next to her history book. She was careful not to spill any fit sauce. Her half-finished homework was folded inside the book. It was due after lunch. She sat down with the others at one of the long tables. She cut off a piece of fitball, switched it around the sauce, and ate it. Did you eat the heel first? Asked Mauricia. So, what's wrong with that? Asked Dee. It's gross, said Ron. You're supposed to start with the toes. Who says? It's just how it's done, said Joy. Ask anyone. You don't know everything, Dee said angrily as she shook her fork at her friends. A bit of sauce dripped off the paper. Now, look at what you did, she accused them. You did it yourself, said Joy. Dee tried to wipe it from her napkin, but that only made it worse. Now I have to start all over, she complained. Dee remained in the cafeteria long after her friends let go play. She still had one question to utter and one last toe to eat. It didn't seem fair that her friends were outside playing while she was stuck inside. Stupid Ron, she murmured. Stupid Mauricia. Stupid Joy. They're the ones with stinky feet. When at last she finished, she put her dishes in the dish tray, then dumped her trash. She hurried out the lunchroom and down the stairs. Once outside, she saw them playing three square and wasn't sure if she even wanted to join them. Suddenly her face filled with horror. Oh no, she called out, and then pulled her hair with both hands. She didn't have her homework or her history book. She turned and ran back into the building. Miss Mush and Mr. Pepperetter were busy wiping the counter with dish rags when Dee came rushing up to them. Hi, Dee. Did you want seconds? Miss Mush asked huffily. We put everything away, but I'd happy to heat up another plate. Out of breath, Dee explained about her book and homework. Neither Miss Mush or Mr. Pepperhead remember seeing it. And I've already dumped all the trash, said Mr. Pepperhead. There were 4 large dumpsters in the back of Wayside School. A pair of feet was sticking up out of one of them. Upside down, buried in the trash, Dee tried to read every wrinkled and soggy piece of paper as she dug through the half-eaten fishballs, strands of spaghetti, drippy milk cartons, apple cores, pickle slices, and who knows what else. It's impossible. Where there's no way, she cried. Then, just when all hope seemed lost, a noise came from somewhere deep inside the dumpster next to Hall's. Found it! Called Ron. Rustling sounds could be heard from inside the other two dumpsters as well. Hooray! Cheered Mauricia. Wow, what a relief! Shouted Joy. Yes, there were 6 other feet sticking up from the downstairs. They were the unbreakables. Not even a cloud of doom could destroy their friendship. But that was only the first test. The ultimate test was still to come.